All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to swap our keyboards for hard hats and take a look at something really fascinating: the intersection of artificial intelligence and the construction industry. You might not think they go together, but believe me, AI is fundamentally rebuilding one of the world's oldest trades from the ground up.
So let's just start with a number, 6%. What's that? Well, that's construction's massive slice of the entire world's GDP. It is, without a doubt, a huge cornerstone of the global economy. But here's the catch. For an industry that big, it's been famously, maybe notoriously, slow to change. You've got this economic giant that's still wrestling with some very old-school problems, things that have been holding it back for decades.
And what kind of problems are we talking about? Well, for starters, productivity has been stubbornly low for years. Then there's the constant struggle to find enough skilled labor. You've also got knowledge that just gets lost between projects. And on top of all that, there's very little money going into R&D. It's really a perfect storm of inefficiency. So that's the big problem we're looking at. An absolutely vital industry facing some pretty deep fundamental challenges. But, a revolution is brewing, and it has a name: Construction 4.0. Construction 4.0 is basically the industry's answer to its own wake-up call. It's all about bringing the digital revolution to the job site. We're talking about using advanced tech, things like robotics, big data, and of course AI to totally rethink how we build things. And sitting right at the very heart of this entire movement, the real engine driving all this change, is artificial intelligence. It's the one tool that has the potential to solve some of the industry's oldest, most stubborn problems. Okay, so we know AI is the key, but that brings us to the big question, right? What is it actually doing? Where is it helping on the ground today? Let's take a look. Because, it's one thing to talk about the promise of AI. It's another to see where it's truly making a real, tangible difference. Luckily, a recent major study dug into exactly that, analyzing what some of the biggest construction firms are doing. And the research found 3 key areas where AI is making moves. First, in what's called smart building operation and health, where AI can do things like predict energy use to make buildings way more efficient. Second, there's construction and material optimization, where algorithms can fine-tune project costs and schedules. And third, you've got off-site manufacturing and automation, which is where AI-powered robots help build parts of a building in a factory before they ever get to the site. But here's where the story takes a really interesting turn. Because adopting AI isn't just about wanting the latest cool tech. What the research shows is that it's actually about this complex dance between these hidden forces pushing from the outside and whether a company is truly ready on the inside. So let's start with those outside forces. What exactly is pushing these massive construction companies to finally really embrace AI? Well, the study breaks it down into 3 main types of pressure. First, you've got coercive pressure. Just think of these as the rules. This is pressure from government regulations, new energy standards, stuff that forces companies to innovate. Then there's mimetic pressure, which is basically keeping up. You see your competitor using AI to get an edge, so you start doing it too. And third is normative pressure, which you can think of as the expectations from society, clients, and the media, who are all demanding smarter, greener buildings. But that external push, it's only half of the equation. A company can feel all the pressure in the world to change, but if they don't have the right setup on the inside, nothing is going to happen. It's the interplay between these 2 sides that really tells the whole story. Which brings us to the other side of the coin. What needs to be in place inside a company for AI adoption to actually take off and work? The research points to 3 internal building blocks. First, technical feasibility. Do you even have the right data, the platforms, the algorithms? Second, resources and capability. Do you have the money? And maybe more importantly, do you have the skilled people who actually know how to use AI? And third, there's organizational management. Is your company culture even open to new ideas? Do you have leaders who'll see it through? Okay, so we've got the external pressures pushing from the outside and the internal building blocks on the inside. Now for the really cool part, seeing how they all connect to create a kind of roadmap for the industry's future. This is where the study gets really powerful. It doesn't just list all these factors, it actually maps out exactly which pressures and which internal capabilities are driving which specific AI applications.
So here's how it all lines up. The study found that it's industry norms and good old peer pressure that are the biggest drivers for adopting AI in smart building operations. Meanwhile, having the right money and the right people, those financial and human resources, is what allows firms to use AI for construction and material optimization. And finally, it's the combination of government rules and being technically ready that pushes companies toward AI-driven off-site automation. And to put an even finer point on it, the data shows one finding that really stands out. You might think it's government rules pushing the industry the hardest, but it's not. It's simply the pressure to keep up with competitors and meet new industry expectations. That is the single biggest driver getting firms to adopt AI for making buildings smarter and optimizing their materials. And the end goal of all of this, the so what, is summed up perfectly by the researchers themselves. They said, by harnessing the power of AI, engineering managers can optimize resource allocation, minimize waste, and improve overall project outcomes. It's all about building smarter, faster, and with less waste. So the real takeaway here is this. For a construction company, success with AI isn't just about buying the fanciest software. It's about having a smart strategy that lines up the pressures coming from your market with your own company's unique strengths, whether that's your tech, your people, or your leadership. Which leaves us with a final, really big question to chew on. As all these forces keep pushing the industry forward, are we actually watching the moment when the very blueprint for our future cities is being redrawn? Not just by human hands, but by artificial intelligence too?